I asked a simple question on a survey and on the community tab of this channel. And it's a straightforward question. What state has the most fake people in your opinion? Now, obviously, this is an opinion. There's no statistical way to judge personality flaws like being fake. There's a lot of different terms you might use to describe fake people. Fraud, sham, phony, imposter, pretender, faker, and YouTube automation expert. Yes, it's a thing. Now, some of those things might be accurate, but what we're looking at is simply the type of person that is all about themselves and basically full of shit. And no, judging people by the amount of plastic surgery procedures they've had is not an accurate way of ranking fake people. They just got some fake parts. In this video, I will show you which states the respondents felt contain what is considered fake people. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 10, Arizona. Arizona has a strange reputation for being fake. In my experience, people from metro areas like Phoenix and Tucson act like they're from the country when they're actually city folks. I always had the feeling that they wanted people to think they were like rednecks when they aren't. When I first started making this video, I thought that was just me, you know? It's just something I thought. So I started reading some things online and I found a few mentions of other people noticing this, but no solid confirmation. And then I read one of the comments from Elle Manheim. She said, Arizona hands down. They look down on people for being smart, and they actually have a thing where they act like they're uneducated even when they are educated. It's kind of the same feeling I get from people from Arizona. The fake ones, at least. Arizona didn't get a lot of votes. It barely made it on the list, but 77 people out of just over 6,000 voted Arizona. Number 9, Georgia. This one is all about Atlanta. That's where everyone's getting this feeling from. If you meet anyone from Georgia that's from the countryside of that state, which really is most of the state, they don't have a tolerance for fake people, really, in my experience. And I've been in Georgia many times and for a good portion of my 20s. Now, the people in Atlanta, that's a different situation entirely. They are, in my opinion, the most fake people I've ever met east of the Mississippi. Every time I go there, every time I've talked to someone, they always seem to be the next big thing rapper. And they'll tell you they are, or they're a music producer, or they're a model. Almost every one of the answers that had Georgia in it mentioned Atlanta, so that should tell you something. Ryan Wells said the Atlanta metro area if it was a state. Noah Brewster said Georgia / the South. I think he means the entire South. Georgia got 94 votes out of just around 6,000. Number 8, Washington, D.C. Yep, it's not a state, but apparently enough people think it's a state because it got a whole bunch of responses. But to their credit, most of them said, I know it's not a state, but Washington, D.C. And yes, I could see this one. Just about any place where the workforce is very competitive, you will find a lot of fake people. And in a way, it's almost a matter of survival in their industries. They gotta be a little fake, and they gotta exaggerate their talents and their lifestyle. JSO Peanut said Washington, D.C. with all the politicians. And I think that's the general theme about the fakeness of Washington, D.C. Nobody trusts a politician to be honest or be real. It's just not a thing they do. It's actually detrimental to their careers. Washington, D.C. got 113 votes. Number 7, Tennessee. So Tennessee's a little bit of a weird one. People kept mentioning things about Nashville. For some reason, everyone in Nashville is fake. The other weird thing about it is not as many people picked it on the community survey that I ran, where I just asked people and they told me. But the Google survey I ran, where I got the 6,000 responses, they were all about Tennessee. They just think they're fake as hell there. Stephen Edwards said, Southern hospitality, it is just a lot of two-faced behavior. They'll smile and be nice to your face and rip you to shreds behind your back. Yeah, I could see that happening. Tennessee got 166 votes. Number 6, Texas. Most of the comments we got about Texas was about Dallas. Matter of fact, I was asking for states, and other than people saying Los Angeles, Dallas was the second most city that was brought up. I guess third, Washington, D.C. Nobody really mentioned any of the other big cities in Texas on this one. But they still think that Texas deserves to be at number 6. Texas also showed up with a lot of people that would include California. It's always like Texas and California, Texas and Arizona, Texas and Florida. Chris Bankhead said, the obvious is Cali. Nobody in California calls it Cali, by the way. If you call it Cali to a Californian, they know you're not from there instantly. You might call it Southern California or SoCal, or you might call it Northern California, NoCal. Nobody calls it Cali. Anyway, he said, the obvious is Cali, but don't forget about Texas. It does have an AS at the end. Seriously, though, I'll vote Texas. By the way, I'm from Texas. This is my favorite one about Texas from David Cobb. Texas, all hat, no cattle. I've never seen such excessive makeup on women as in Texas. Texas got 297 votes. Number 5, Utah. Well, I gotta admit, this one at first kind of caught me off guard. I was a little shocked that so many people picked Utah. Then I started thinking about some experiences I've had with people from Utah and some Mormon people that I know. Or should I say I used to know. One of them was a guy that I knew all from like first grade through high school. And then I just realized sometime around our sophomore year, he just liked to stir things up and then tried to act like he was the most wholesome man in the world, or kid at the time. Most of the comments about Utah had to do with the Mormon church for some reason. Like there's a whole lot of fakery going on there. A.P. Baker said, as an ex-Mormon, I say Utah. This one, Van Molik, I don't know what that is. California for wealth and appearance of wealth. Utah for appearing like you're not in a cult. Jonas said, as someone who lived in 5 states and been to 42, as I'm writing this, I believe Utah's the worst when it comes to fake people. Most of the people on here say California, and that's probably is true, but I can't say much because I've never lived there. So he's pretty much a pretty firm believer Utah's full of BS. Utah got 305 votes. Number 4, New Jersey. Now this one, if you go by stereotypes, it's pretty easy to believe. I mean, years ago they had the Jersey Shore, and those were the fakest human beings ever. Now, that's obviously not reflective of the whole state. A lot of good people live there, but a lot of fake people, like the Jersey Shore types, live there too. Myself, I've never picked this up from any of the people I know from New Jersey. I always found them to be pretty down-to-earth and genuine. They do all brag about the state of New Jersey like it is the greatest place on earth. So that's really strange, because if you go to New Jersey, you know it's not. But this list isn't about my opinion, it's about the opinion of people on this survey. David Burris said, I lived in New Jersey for 4 years. People only befriend you to get something. Otherwise, they wouldn't have any time for you, unless you're a longtime local. But that can be said for most states I've lived in, except for Iowa. He seems to think Iowa's a pretty good place. There was a whole bunch of people that said New Jersey, and they'd also include California. I don't know why. New Jersey got 467 votes. Number 3, Florida. Now, I can tell you a majority of the votes said Southern Florida for some reason, and I think that has to do with Miami and that whole area down there. A lot of fake people are down there. I mean, that's just like Hollywood, California, and Beverly Hills. Whole bunch of fakeness going on. Anthony Thor said, you can't stop it. It's here, Florida. Florida, most definitely. I know I've lived here my whole life, sadly. Then a whole bunch of emojis. I think he's pretty sure the people of Florida are fake. User PW1 said, definitely Florida. I was born and raised in California, and I lived in Ohio, and I've lived in Texas. I've been around, and I live in Florida now, and I can truly tell you, Florida is the worst. Dugan and Doggin said, Florida. Have you met a realtor here? How about a lawyer or doctor? You might want to check out if they are actively licensed professionals. That's before you get to the wannabe heroes. I don't know what that part meant, but he feels pretty strongly a lot of fake people in Florida. A majority of my experience with people from Florida are in the central part, definitely not down in the southern Miami area or anything like that. So at least the ones I know are pretty much rednecks. And not fake rednecks either. Head on up to Ocala. Florida got 655 votes. Number 2, New York. We get the Empire State at number 2, and this shouldn't be surprising to anyone. I mean, a majority of the people live in New York City, and we all know that New York City is just one big peacock show. I've experienced quite a few people from New York, and the ones in upstate New York seem to be decent. I have family in Rochester too, and they all seem pretty down to earth. Once you get to the southern part, especially down towards New York City, it starts getting a little ridiculous, and these people start getting really fake. Kind of like Atlanta. Everyone's a giant record producer or about to be, or they're about to be a big music star. They're always about to be. And then there's a whole bunch of fake millionaires there too. One thing that is kind of a trait of fakeness, you talk to people about New York, especially New York City, that are from New York City, and they'll tell you how they hate it. and it's horrible and this and that. And then, well, why don't you move? Oh, I can never leave the city. Then in the same conversation, after they got done telling you they hate living in New York City, they're, I love this city. Kind of reminds me of someone with a really bad drug problem. They hate the fact they're on drugs, but they can't live without it. Tom Pratt, 47, sort of agrees with me. Not the rest of New York State, but New York City. Definitely fake. He said, I've lived in New York nearly my whole life, and folks outside of New York City can't stand the folks from New York City. That's not an uncommon feeling for New Yorkers. New York got 702 votes. All right, before we get to number 1, if you're thinking about moving to one of these states that has a whole bunch of fake people, there is a link for Home and Money in the description area below. They can get you in touch with a real estate agent anywhere in the country. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, California. You know, I'm just blown away on this one. I never saw this one coming. California? These are the most down-to-earth people you will ever know. I grew up in California, and I know they're not fake. Actually, I'm totally fake right now. They are so fake, it's ridiculous. When I used to do stand-up comedy in like Hollywood, I would go up there and I ran into this guy several different times. He was a struggling comedian too, and he was trying to make his way. I met him like 4 or 5 times. Each time he had a new first name. What is going on with this dude? It's like he couldn't settle on a pair of shoes or something. Nobody has their real lips. Everyone's got hair extensions. Everybody pretends they're rich or they're related to someone big. You listen to the life that some of these people have had when you're actually talking to them and you're all, you know what? Lord of the Rings is more believable than what you're telling me right now. That's what you want to say. And you don't for one reason. They usually have so much Botox when they start crying, you really can't tell what's going on because water is coming out of their eyes, but everything else looks normal. Living in Los Angeles is like living in an illusion. And that's just one of the cities in a giant state of fake people. Thomas Robinson said, California, every variation of sociopath lives here, surrounded by a thick veneer of lies. It's kind of deep, Thomas. Susan Patton said, California, plastic surgery capital. Alice in Wonderland, I love that. Allison Wonderland. That's a great name, by the way, Allison. Does it get more fake than California? Please let me know so I can never go there. Maxwell Bowden said, California, why do you even ask? You guys are going to love this one. California got 1,611 votes. New York only got 702. California almost beat them by 1,000. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. It's just a fun video. Nothing to get too serious about. You don't have to get angry at me. Everybody have a great day. Be nice to each other.